Now that you have learned and practiced more advanced skills, you may be ready to work bigger. When I learned to encaustic paint, I worked on 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch plywood from Home Depot. This is the easiest panel to obtain for most people. However, when you start to work bigger, heavy plywood does not remain flat. It warps and weighs too much for many of us to carry. The solution to this is a braced panel. I like to use panels made of 1/4 inch Baltic Birch plywood. This type of wood is relatively lightweight, light in color, and is absorbent. There are many commercially available panels from American Easel and Ampersand, but if you're going to work large, you may need to have panels made. Make sure you have a good carpenter or the skills to create a panel that matches the quality of the paintings you are making. You can research methods for construction, but panels should be glued rather than screwed or nailed. I like a 2-inch wide bracing, which is sometimes called a cradle. This edge matches the contemporary look of my paintings and echoes the smooth surface that I am creating. They are also sturdy enough to have a frame attached if that should be desired. You may want to mask the edge of the panel so that the edge doesn't become dirty or stained. Masking tape works, but I have pulled the tape off the edge and had it pull part of the painting off with it. I prefer using wax. Prior to beginning a painting, I like to cover the edge of each panel with wax as a barrier to darker pigments, ink, or paint I may use in my painting process. Turn the panel on end and apply a coat or two of wax. Fuse the wax to make sure all the wood is covered, or scrape off any extra. When the painting is completed, I heat the edge and gently scrape it back to the wood. You will need a considerable amount of wax and encaustic medium for larger paintings. Keep in mind, a large painting could use over 5 pounds of wax. I start with lighter colors or work off several layers of encaustic gesso. I use plain beeswax to coat the wood and begin to build up the layers of the painting. Find the biggest brush you can, and you will need to be able to heat more wax than in a workshop environment or what you have used for smaller paintings. Keep building up smooth, thin layers on the entire panel. Working large requires considerable time and patience. Layer after layer of smooth, hot wax is applied, fused, and scraped. The brush will only hold so much wax, and you will need to rotate the panel to reach the entire surface. Remember to load the brush with hot wax and keep the bristles hot for each stroke. The warmer the surface of the panel is, the easier the wax will flow off the brush and will enable a smoother surface. Make sure to fuse well on the edges, as this is the most fragile part of the painting. Additional fusing on the edge will help prevent cracking and chipping in the future. I like to use the wax iron to help smooth this large area of wax and create some texture. We explored this in a prior video. It may be easier for you to control the heat of the iron and wax on a larger panel. Simply move the iron to another part of the painting if it gets too hot, and continue to create a smooth surface with some subtle texture that you may want to highlight with a dark color of paint in the next layer. When you work large, you have the ability to work with both arms and the entire body. Inhabit the entire panel and make it yours. When adding oil paint or pigment stick, make sure to use gloves and have mat board scraps or a credit card to help you scrape off the paint. Remove extra paint with vegetable oil and shop towel. Lightly fuse the surface that you have created with the iron and the paint. This will help the wax to encapsulate the paint so that you are able to add additional layers of wax on top. At some point, you will want to switch to encaustic medium. I may add a concentrated mixture to the color that I am using. I add the stiff encaustic to melted wax and mix it well. I aim for a roughly 1:8 ratio of damar to wax. Also, I don't recommend having many colors in large containers. Use 1 or 2 colors at a time so that you can ventilate the studio well. So at this point, we have combined all the techniques from the previous videos. If you have difficulties with the stage, please rewatch the videos on smooth wax application, using the iron for texture, and combining encaustic with oil paint. Working large requires the right type of panel and 3 specific skills: the moderation of heat, the finesse of your wax application, and a good working knowledge of scraping or ironing to give the entire painting a consistent surface, not just a 12 by 12 square. My first 3 by 3 foot painting was scraped off and recycled. Be patient and hopeful. Give yourself time to learn the properties of your materials and to acquire the skills necessary for working large.